Now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 4th. Well, here we are on day 216 of the year, and we are down to 4 systems currently active, whether they're remnants with circulations or actual TCs. Hilda remains the strongest out of those, while 13W is now a tropical storm. Ignacio is down to a weak depression, and 9E could be making a comeback within the next few days. It's day 65 of Atlantic hurricane season, and there's 2 things to monitor here. Invest 91L, which has a 10% chance of formation as it moves to the west of the Cape Verde Islands, as well as in another AOI that only has a 20% chance of formation, but those development chances could go up as we head into the next 5 days. It's day 81 of Eastern Pacific hurricane season, and it really shows considering the fact that we have a lot going on here. Hilda is on a weakening trend. Ignacio will likely degenerate into a remnant low tonight. 9E has an 80% chance of formation, another AOI has a 50% chance of formation, and a Central Pacific AOI has a 10% chance of formation. In the Western Pacific, there's 13W there, pretty much to the southeast of Hong Kong at this point. We have 97W, which has decreased to a 40% chance of formation given the Models 1 extratropical transition now, and of course 99W down to a 20% chance of formation. In the North Indian Ocean, we're still looking at practically nothing at this point, given the fact that, of course, we are in that time period where we typically don't see much, if at all. We already had that land depression a few days ago that has since come and gone, and now we are left with a blank slate here. Here's the Atlantic satellite. You can kind of depict where 91L is there. It's that little blob that you see there near the Cape Verde Islands. That is not really expected to develop at this point. The National Hurricane Center has decreased their chances. It used to be 20. It's really been 10 since. In the Eastern Pacific, we're looking at those systems at play there. Ignacio has pretty much lost all its convection at this point. Hilda is still trying to stay there, but it's weakening at this point. And 9E is slowly getting better organized as it continues to the west-northwest. And then, of course, in the Western Pacific, it is just an overall mess. The remnants of 12W don't even have a circulation at this point. 99W is pretty much absorbing it. 97W and, of course, 13W are kind of interacting with one another at this very moment. So, regardless, it does not appear that 13W is not going to become overly strong thanks to the influence it has with 97W. However, 97W still poses a threat to Japan. In the North Indian Ocean, the land depression's remnants that we had seen remain with a pretty good circulation as all but just faded away. You can see how it just pretty much gave up and just completely went off the rails there, so pretty much no circulation is present now at this point. And then, of course, a better look at those 2 things there, 13W and 97W. 97W could become a short-lived tropical storm or will be an extratropical threat to Japan, and of course Japan's been seeing quite a bit of rain from other extratropical as well as actual tropical disturbances, so it's been quite a messy few weeks for them. In the Eastern Pacific, we are seeing those sea surface temperatures remain near 30 degrees Celsius near the coast there. Otherwise, it's pretty much around 27 to 28 for much of the basin. In the Gulf of Mexico, we're seeing more of those 30 degrees Celsius. Almost the entire basin is in those at this point. And of course, in the main development region, we're still looking at those 26 to 27 waters where those AOIs/invests currently are here. Other than that, the Gulf Stream remains around 28 degrees Celsius. In the North Indian Ocean, we're still looking at a slightly cooling trend that is in place right now here. Although, of course, that becomes much more noticeable as you get into Oman, where the waters are near 24 degrees Celsius there. In the Western Pacific, we're looking at those 30 degrees Celsius waters. There's a little bit less of those than there has been in recent weeks. Could be because of the constant moisture dumps in there. Whether that will be lasting long, probably not. But, of course, it is tampering with the temperatures we've been seeing in the West Pacific for now. But regardless, it's still favorable for much of the basin. And in terms of the sea surface temperature anomalies, we're still looking at those overly warm conditions of the Sea of Japan, as well as the tropics in general. Western Pacific is looking rather cool, as well as the entire Central Pacific in general. Although the Atlantic, of course, is warming up. Gulf of Mexico now seeing those temperatures 2 to 3 degrees above average. On this day in 2015, Super Typhoon Pseudolore was peaking as a Category 5 typhoon. It would later go on to slam Taiwan as a Category 1 before making landfall as well in China. Tropical Depression 14W was also active, as well as a Guillermo that was pretty much weakening as it passed to the north of Hawaii. Of course, this is brought to you by On This Day from Cyclone History. You can follow their Twitter at the bottom of your screen there. So, with that being said, that brings us to the next names. Next name in the Atlantic is Fred, followed by Grace. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Jimena, followed by Kevin. And in the Central Pacific, there are still wanted posters for Hone, but will that Central Pacific be the one that is caught? We shall see. In the Western Pacific, the next name is Lupit, followed by Marine. We should be seeing Lupit soon at this rate. In the North Indian Ocean, the next name there is Gulab, followed by Shaheen. Moving on to the Southern Hemisphere, the next name here is Anna, followed by Batsire. In the Australian region, we're looking out for Patty and Ruby. And in the South Pacific, it's Cody. We will be back for another Tropical Weather Bulletin tomorrow night.